there are cases when some people just need an outside source to stimulate them.
Right. Exactly. And the thing about that, when you never know where that outside source is going to come from, you know? Like all of a sudden, blam, it's right there in your face, you know?
Well, when it comes to this and building that forward momentum and achieving your goals, sometimes you need that outside source. And one of the great outside sources is the great folks from ActionCOACH. Rory Shepard joins us each and every month, sometimes twice a month. Talk about some exciting things to get you going, to keep you on track, especially early in 2024. Rory, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. How you doing, David?
We're doing great. We're doing great. Well, your subject today, go ahead, Chuck. Your subject today kind of really played into what Chuck talked about in Eye on Wellness. And Chuck talked about being motivated, getting up, starting momentum, got to go to the gym, you got to put in that effort. You want to talk about the good habits in business of getting motivated and building forward momentum. Tell us a little bit about what you're talking about, Rory.
Yes, I'll go back quickly to a book by James Clear called Atomic Habits. But in that, he talks about getting 1% better. And so often, both in business and personally, we say, we need to make a 25% change, or we need to grow by 50%, or we need to double sales. And then we get stuck because we don't know how to do that. And so part of this is, back to building momentum, is getting into a spot to where that, we're setting small incremental goals that we can achieve so that we can start feeling success. And I love a quote that I've been repeating at least for the last couple of years, and that just like fire creates its own wind, success creates its own momentum.
Right.
And so if I can get enough small victories, kind of in the win column, then that's one of the things that I can kind of move forward with. And so when we think about business, it's, I don't need to say I need to go land a $100,000 contract, right? It's what do I need to do to get that small incremental win that I can start, chipping away at, where I want to be financially and start building that momentum.
Rory, one of the things you said is target small when you're building that momentum. 1% improvement is and do you find a lot of people have, because everybody wants the big bang, the big flash, they want the home run every time. How do you adjust your mindset to say 1% or just a little growth every day is an important first step?
So I think, part of it is that we don't break it down. And so we've got to continue to break it down to what's just the next thing that I need to do. Not what's the next 100 things I need to do, or what's that big, what's the final victory look like, but what's just the absolute next thing I need to do. And so I will tell a short piece of a story out of the Atomic Habits book where a guy says he wants to start going to, the gym and working out. And so James Clear says, let's start with laying your clothes out the night before.
Right.
And just for a handful of days, all you do is you get up in the morning and you put those clothes on. And that's it. You don't have to go to the gym. You don't have to go work out. Just put the clothes out the night before and get, in the habit of getting up and putting your gym clothes on. And then the next week it's put the gym clothes on and drive to the parking lot. You don't even go in, right? And then the third week is put your clothes on, drive to the gym, and then go in and sit inside the lobby for 15 minutes, right? It's establishing the discipline and the habit so that I've got a chance to continue that on. And I think the same thing is true for us in business. Is we often think if I can't do it all, that I'm not going to start. And I need to start with developing the habits and the disciplines so that I can achieve that.
You talk about the discipline, Rory. I know for myself, I really don't have any discipline for me. I just go at it, as I wish, as I go about it. But, when you talk about that discipline, we normally talk about kids, but that holds true for adults also. that discipline, that builds the habit in itself, does it not?
Yes. And so, so often we want to have that to be for our kids, but not be for us, right?
Right.
I'm an adult now. I don't need the discipline. And so often what we need is just somebody that will come alongside us and be that accountability partner for us, right? That will say, you said you were going to do this 3 times this week.
You ain't did it yet,
Did
right?
you get?
Right.
Yeah. I mean, how many did you get? Did you get at least one? Right. I mean, it doesn't be that you have to hit it every time, but how many did you get this week? Right. So that they come alongside, they hold you accountable, and they, you don't want to be, right, the one that says, yeah, I blew it again this week.
Right.
I mean, that's another reason why workout partners or somebody that I run with, is so important, is because I don't want to let somebody down that says we're going to meet at 5 and run this morning, that I don't show up.
Right.
And so having somebody so we talk all the time about, from Rick Warren of Saddleback Church, one of the things that he talks about is, it starts with a crisis, right? We got to say we want something different.
Right.
I want my business to be different. I want my health to be different. I want my relationships to be different. But I've got to have a crisis. And then I've got to make a commitment that I communicate to other people, right? It's not enough to use my inside my head voice and say, I'm committed to doing better. I need to actually say that out loud to somebody else that'll hold me accountable. And as simple as that sounds, we rarely do it, and then we don't reap the rewards that we expected.
Right.
If all we did was just, so back to your point, Chuck, it's not necessarily the discipline to do the activity. It's the discipline to commit to it and communicate it to somebody that I know is going to hold me accountable.
Yeah.
That helps the discipline.
Being held accountable.
Yeah.
Is a big difference. Let me ask you this. This is the $1 million question, Rory. What's the number one reason why we don't achieve our goal?
For all of us, it's probably different, but the number one reason is that we don't stick with it long enough to see whether we're going to achieve it or not. I think last year we may have talked about January 19th being National Quitters Day.
Right.
New Year's resolution. Right. Because we get tired, we get bored, we don't see the results that we expected, and so we just quit. And how often is it, if you would have just stuck with it for another week, if you would have just stuck with it for another, one more cycle on the one more business cycle, that you would have been a huge success, but you just quit because you get tired or it's hard. Pro athletes put in so much more effort than we would ever expect them to put in so that they can achieve the results that they have, right? And they don't quit when it gets hard. They don't quit when they get tired. Yet we do that in business and in life.
Right.
So that number one reason is we don't stick with it long enough to reap the rewards. And part of that is probably because we set this huge lofty goal and don't say, what's the next thing that I need to do? That was successful. Now what do I add to it? Now what do I add to it?
That brings to mind to me something that I believe this 100%. Don't stop when you're tired. Stop when you're finished. And I really think about that. Hey, that's a goal,
Right?
Yeah,
but how often do we just stop when we're tired?
How about that?
Right?
That's true.
I just stopped. I just quit. This was harder than I expected it to be.
Right. And that's the key. What we expected it to be, our expectations, maybe we've inflated them, and that could be an issue. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with more from Action Coach and Rory on the chat on Newsday Amarillo and News Channel 10-2.